Good Thursday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Chris Harapsky. Today we are hearing from border czar Tom Homan for the first time since he took over federal immigration operations here in Minnesota. He spoke about his conversations with local leadership about how to move forward and says that he's working on a plan to, quote, wind down agents in our state and admitting that the enforcement here has not been perfect.
If we get these agreements in place, that means less agents on the street. More agents in the jail means less agents in the street. This is common sense cooperation that allows us to draw down on the number of people we have here. Yes, I said it. Draw down the number of people here. Because we have the efficiency and safety of the jails. I'm not here because the federal government has carried this mission out perfectly. First thing I said to senior staff when I walked in here is what I told you earlier. I didn't come here looking for photo ops or headlines. I come here looking for solutions. I do not want to hear that everything's been done here has been perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. Anything can be improved on. And what we've been working on is making this operation safer, more efficient, by the book. The mission is going to improve because of the changes we're making internally.
This week, two federal judges have issued setbacks to the federal government. One order temporarily bans new arrests of people who've applied for asylum or are awaiting asylum rulings. The judge also requires Homeland Security to release anyone in that category who's currently in custody. The second blow came from a different federal judge who accused ICE of disobeying nearly 100 court orders in January alone. Likely, quote, more than some federal agencies have violated in their entire existence. That is according to the language of the court filing. We've also seen some tonal changes in Operation Metro Surge in the last few days. For example, federal agents are now being advised not to engage with angry protesters. The officers involved with Alex Preddy's shooting are also now on leave. These come after closed-door conversations between Tom Homan and local leaders. Today, more than dozens of lawmakers from several states are at the Minnesota State Capitol for a day of solidarity. Lawmakers are from states including Wisconsin, Illinois, Colorado, Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina, Montana, signaling what's happening in Minnesota is no longer just a local issue. A notable change in tone from the Trump administration over the past couple days as well. This comes as polling shows approval ratings for the president on immigration are the lowest that they've been since his return to the White House. A poll published by Reuters and Ipsos reveals most Americans think the ICE crackdown has gone too far. Brian McClung, a political analyst, says while the majority of Americans who voted for President Trump are in favor of a strong southern border and deporting people who've committed violent crimes, he says they do not support such aggressive tactics.
All of the immigration laws on the books without doing it the way ICE and the Border Patrol have done it. And I think that's what Americans are responding to. They're seeing the people of Minnesota just under siege and imagining that could happen in their hometown next.
With the midterm elections still 10 months away and the governor's seat up for grabs, McClung says Republicans will have to shift focus onto issues like fraud to try and regain the public's trust. A new video into our newsroom showing a confrontation between Alex Preddy and federal agents more than a week before he was shot. A family representative confirmed this video to NBC News that this is Preddy from January 13th. You may have seen a lot of debate online that this was AI or fake video. Family confirms it. You can see him yelling and spitting at an agent's SUV and then kicking out the back right taillight. That's when agents get out and they tackle him. We know that Preddy broke a rib in a run-in with federal agents about a week before his death, but it's unclear if this is that exact incident. A lawyer representing Alex Preddy's family sent us this statement saying in part, quote, nothing that happened a full week before could possibly have justified Alex's killing at the hands of ICE on January 24th, end quote. New today, a Democratic Texas congressman says that he is planning to put in a notice tomorrow to visit a Columbia Heights preschooler in a Texas detention center. You may remember 5-year-old Liam Ramos and his father were taken by ICE last week. Representative Joaquin Castro shared this photo of the boy in his father's arms. Castro says that he spent about a half an hour with the two of them in a courtroom at the Dilley Detention Center. It's about an hour outside of San Antonio.
He said that he misses his classmates and his family and wants to be back at school. And he keeps asking about that hat and that backpack that are in the picture. I think they took that from him. But I'm concerned for him because his dad said that he's been depressed and been despondent and isn't eating well, and that he's been very lethargic.
Castro's calling on his colleagues in Congress to join him for another visit at the facility to check on Liam and other children that are there. The Department of Homeland Security previously said that Liam's father abandoned him in a car while running from agents and later asked to be reunited with him. Witnesses and school officials have refuted that claim. Nearly 100 hunger relief organizations are calling for an end to the ICE surge in Minnesota, and they're not holding back on the reason why. They say the operation itself is driving up need because many in the community, including U.S. residents, are avoiding stores, schools, and food shelves out of fear. They say ICE agents have also targeted their efforts to deliver food. Here's Kent Erdahl.
At Second Harvest Heartland this week, volunteers are using helping hands to combat heavy hearts.
Neighbors are afraid to leave their homes, and if they can't get food for their family,
Nicole Henches joined an emergency volunteer team late last year when Second Harvest was looking for help filling 7,000 emergency food boxes to help those impacted by the government shutdown.
When I started, I thought I'd come once or twice a month.
But then Operation Metro Surge changed the math.
Multiple shifts a week now.
What we're facing right now is about 50,000 boxes that will be needed over the next month or so. So it is a significant jump.
CEO Sarah Moberg says that's because the ICE operation is creating an entirely new type of need.
Historically, we would meet the needs of those who are struggling with cost of living. Today, that's expanded, and we are also working to meet the needs of those who are fearful of leaving their homes.
It's why Second Harvest and nearly 100 other nonprofit hunger relief organizations in Minnesota have signed on to a statement saying the presence of thousands of federal ICE agents has brought chaos and violence to the communities we serve, adding, quote, "People are stranded and hungry. This cannot continue."
Hunger is a nonpartisan issue.
But Moberg says the continued presence of ICE has made the act of even delivering food a logistical issue.
ICE staging in parking lots or near food shelves, potentially following people who are making deliveries. And so the fear and anxiety is real.
Across the town at Every Meal, which typically packs and delivers shelf-stable weekend meal kits directly into the backpacks of 19,000 Minnesota school children, the need has increased, even as student attendance has decreased. So they, too, are getting creative.
These bags of food are available to every school in 47 school districts in Minnesota. They can get these bags of food, and they can get them to the kids and families in whatever way works best for their community.
How difficult and challenging has that been to get the food not just to a backpack but to a home now?
We work with the school partners on that home delivery, but I know that some of those people are getting targeted, getting their windows broken and dragged out, just people that are delivering food to people's homes. I think we've all heard the quote or know the quote from Mr. Rogers where he says something like, "Watch the helpers in times of difficulty." And it's really hard when the helpers are the ones that are getting targeted as well.
But no matter how hard it gets,
I'm kind of at a loss for words.
Nicole and all the other helpers won't stop lending a hand.
I think it's important.
Kent Erdahl reporting there. The clock is ticking right now at the U.S. Capitol. Lawmakers, they got until tomorrow night, midnight, to come to an agreement on funding the government. Democrats in the Senate blocking legislation to fund the Department of Homeland Security and several other agencies as they negotiate with their Republican counterparts. President Donald Trump saying today that neither side of the aisle wants a shutdown.
Hopefully we won't have a shutdown. We're working on that right now. I think we're getting close. The Democrats, I don't believe, want to see it either. So we'll work in a very bipartisan way. I believe not to have a shutdown. We don't want a shutdown.
Their main sticking point is funding for DHS. And this afternoon, we're learning that the White House and Senate leaders are moving closer to a deal to meet Democrats' demands. And that is according to CNN. New today, the man caught on video charging Representative Ilhan Omar at a town hall event earlier this week is in court for the very first time. Anthony Kazmierzak, facing federal charges for assaulting a United States representative. Court documents say Kazmierzak was at the town hall in the front row Tuesday night, approached Omar as she was speaking and sprayed her with what appears to be and what some have said is apple cider vinegar. He was quickly tackled by security and arrested shortly after. In breaking news today, Senator Amy Klobuchar has officially launched her campaign for governor. We know she filed some of the paperwork last week, but she has officially announced it. She posted this video on X saying, quote, "We've been through a lot, and I believe this moment calls for grit, resilience, and faith in each other," end quote. She goes on to say, quote, "I believe we must stand up for what's right and fix what's wrong," end quote. Klobuchar enters the race following the exit of incumbent DFL Governor Tim Walz. He faced mounting pressure surrounding his administration's handling of fraud in the state, dropping his bid for a historic third term. She'll go up against several high-profile Republican candidates, including House Speaker Lisa Damath and State Representative Kristen Robbins, among others. And developing right now, Indian authorities are investigating a virus outbreak after confirming 2 cases and as several Asian countries tighten health screenings for travelers arriving from India. NBC's Janice Mackey-Fryer reports from Beijing.
This is a highly contagious virus between humans, and it's often deadly. The 2 cases of Nipah virus were detected in India in the state of West Bengal, but there are concerns the outbreak could spread. The virus has a fatality rate of 40 to 75%, according to the World Health Organization, deadlier than the COVID virus, and there's no vaccine for Nipah. So authorities in India are taking no chances. At the same time, several airports across Asia, in Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, and Hong Kong, are taking steps to screen passengers for any symptoms. Nipah is a zoonotic virus that's transmitted from animals, usually fruit bats, and doesn't spread easily to humans. It can also come from contaminated food. And when it does hit, it initially feels like the flu, then worsens. Experts say pneumonia and other respiratory symptoms can develop. But the most serious complication is encephalitis, or inflammation of the brain. The WHO says the fatality rate has a lot to do with the country's capacity to test, trace, and treat those infected. In India, authorities have quarantined nearly 200 people who may have come into contact with the 2 infected. It's the first time in nearly 20 years that India has had cases, but they believe the outbreak is now contained. Still, it's a situation that U.S. health officials are watching very closely, the CDC saying they're ready to assist if needed. Janice Mackey-Fryer, NBC News, Beijing.
Stick with us. We got more news and weather coming up after the break.